Yeah. We are day 9 now, day 9. So yesterday we got the insulation in the walls. We first fixed the lights. A lot of people have said, why don't you put the sockets in? Now, if you know our work, you know that we run the cables externally. So the sockets and the power of the internet and the fuse spare for the heater and everything like that will go in after it's been plasterboarded. This maintains the thermal integrity of the room, and I'll explain it as we go along anyway, but everything will be wired from the outside. So today we're going to get the insulation in the ceiling. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the hybrid roof system that we use and the reason why we use it as well. So before we get the insulation in, I'm just going to go around and just take off the foam there that we filled them little holes that were created by when we fixed the roof on. If you've watched the series, you'll know exactly what they were from. So expanding foam, we'll get that off there. Davey has already been round and he's rock-wooled the outside. I'll show you there, look. He's gone round and he's filled the cavity there with rock wool. He's done all the sides. I will do the front yet. The back doesn't need to be done simply because when I put the 100mm insulation in, I will push it over the top of the wall, which will maintain that thermal integrity as well. So the 100mm insulation, it's a rock wool type insulation. It just wants to cut like that. Keep rolling it. Eventually you'll get through. There we go. So that's through. You want to keep it dry. You don't want to be putting it up in the roof when it's wet. So you know that we've already put the cables in for the canopy, the first fixed lights. So now what we're going to do now is going to tear off some of this insulation. And we're going to fill the bridge above the steel beam with rock wool. And make sure I'm going to put plenty in because it doesn't matter if it goes forward into the canopy, but you definitely rather want this area completely full, so that when we put 100mm PIR in, it will touch them joist hangers there, and then it will maintain again the thermal integrity of the building, which is what we are aiming for consistently. So I'll carry on. I'll go along doing that. Again, get plenty in. You'll have bought a roll, so you're going to use it, so you might as well get plenty in rather than just having half a roll left over. Again, doesn't matter if it goes forward into the cavity. But there you go. So they're insulated like that. What we'll do now, we'll carry on with that. And now we're going to insulate these with 100mm PIR, which I have already just cut this morning before we set up. It's foil backed, it's rigid insulation. They're all pretty much the same. Depending what brand you get, there's very little difference in them, just apart from the cost. It's cut at 400 there. You can see I've cut it relatively square. It does have a lot of dust which comes off it. You might want to just wipe it before you offer it up into this ceiling. You can see this one here. We protected the roof from the frost, so I've just took it off the roof now and it's got condensation on there, so I'm just going to get a bit of blue roll that we've got in the van, dry it off before I offer it up into the roof. Like I said, I'm just going to dry that off simply because it's been up on the roof overnight and it's got a bit of condensation on it, which is not the greatest problem. I just don't want to put it up into the roof while it's still wet. Right, the insulation, I'm going to pop it up and then I'm going to explain why I popped it up, the way I popped it up, and the reason why I am nailing it. So, I've got the bay there. The bay is, it's a metre, but what I want the insulation to sit over the wall. So this is thermally insulated, and the top of that wall there is also thermally insulated. So the insulation wants to fly over the wall. So I've actually cut it at 1100 long. Again, they're 400 bays, not 400 centres. Gives you maximum use out of your insulation, which of course is really expensive at this time. All right. So I'm going to push it tight to the ceiling, which I have done. And now I'm going to get that nail in, like that. Keep it pushed tight onto the ceiling at all times. my finger again, David, can you believe it? Right, so let's have a look at what we've done there. We've put the 100mm insulation in, we pushed it tight to the ceiling. Let me just get a little bit of an offcut. There we go. Right, so what we've done, we've pushed it tight to the ceiling. Therefore, we have no air void in there, which in theory will not condensate. So I know this is where it's all going to kick off now. If you followed me, you'll know that I use a hybrid roof system simply because you cannot have anything less under permitted development because it just won't work for you with sizes and stuff like that. Well, you can, but you're going to compromise the internal head height of your room. Right, so here's the theory behind it. So, they're your roof joists, okay? Yep, that's your roof top, your OSB or whatever. Right, so that doesn't work because it's wet. Let me just dry that off. Try again. Right, there we go, push that there. Right, so you've got a warm roof. There's your roof joist there. Okay, there's the top of your roof. You put a vapour barrier on there then, and then you put your 100mm insulation over the top or whatever insulation you're putting on, and then you put another layer of board, and then you put your final covering on there, which is rubber or GPR or whatever like that. So that there, and that's your plasterboard. That there is your warm roof. Your cold roof, bloody pen. That's the top of the roof. That's the joist. Okay, can you even see that, David? Yeah, that's the plasterboard, and then your insulation goes there, like that, and then you have a 50mm void there, which is vented front and back, which prevents any mold build-up. Okay, so that works, and so does warm roof work. Okay, hybrid roof. The hybrid roof is, you know what, I'm going to draw out my marker on this wall, maybe it might be better. The hybrid roof, which I know I get a lot of haters about, joist, 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 OSB at the top, rubber roof there, plasterboard there, vapour barrier in between there, insulation pushed tight to the underside of the roof. That air void there is ambient temperature to this room there. Okay, there is no gap there, therefore there's very little air there which will not condensate. Or let me rephrase that, it will condensate. Okay, but what you've got to remember is these are low occupancy rooms. Now a guy has done a report, he sent off and got a report done. It's 5 pages long, and basically at the end of the report it says condensation will appear but will dissipate in the warmer months, and then in big letters it says there is no risk of mold growth. Okay, so that's good enough for me. I've been doing these a long time now. The low occupancy, now you've got to remember the low occupancy is key. Okay, if you're going to live in here, it's a different kettle of fish altogether, and if you're going to live in here, you'll apply for planning. This is permitted development. Okay, so it's low occupancy. It's not like a house. So you've got a house, you've got 2 bathrooms maybe, you've got a kitchen, you've got 4 or 5 people living in it, you've got a lot of condensation build up, a lot of moisture build up, and it all rises, yeah? So when you get a dormer put on these townhouses and stuff like that, then if the roof's not done properly and it's not vented properly, then you have a risk, not always, but a risk of the roof failing because of moisture build up. Now, I've had a lot of abuse about this, and also, in the same breath, I've had the same amount of people tell me that building inspectors have told them that it's doable, they'll pass it sometimes. I've had chartered surveyors, I've had architects, I've had builders all saying they're doing a similar thing and it's absolutely fine. It depends on what circumstances. In a busy townhouse, then no. If you're going to live in it, then no. But if it's low occupancy, absolutely fine, no problem with it whatsoever. So, feel free to hate or feel free to appreciate, but my mate's got one. He took spotlights down on a regular occasion for me, and the OSB that he can still see is absolutely the same as the day he put it in, and his son lives in there on a regular basis as well. He stays over. So anyway, that's that. That goes up there. It's tight to the roof. It's tight to the underside of the OSB, yeah? And I put them nails in there to stop it ever falling down. That bit there, the gap there, that will also get filled. Now, we'll either fill that with rock wool or PIR, depending on what we're doing at the end of the job. But that gap there must get filled, because otherwise you've got cold coming in there as well, which you don't want. So it needs to be fully sealed. If you've cut it and it's not the greatest cut in the world, you need to get your expanding foam insulation out, yeah, and fill all the gaps. Now, I know some people are putting the silver tape on, they're taping it all up so there is no gap, and in theory then you do not need the vapour barrier, which the report also says the vapour barrier is pretty redundant, apart from the fact it would be good for what's the terminology now? Not air quality, don't know, Davey. I've forgotten the terminology. Anyway, the report says it's pretty redundant, but we still put the vapour barrier in anyway, right? This system actually works in this, let me rephrase that. What's that word I'm looking for? This system works in this circumstance. It's absolutely fine. No problems with it whatsoever. And we are potentially going back to extend the garden room we built at some point, depending if we get the job. We'll go back, and when we take the roof apart where we're going to extend it, we'll have a look at it and we'll do a little video on that as well. Okay, so that's that. What you need to do now, you need to insulate all these bays. I'm going to show you how to insulate the lighting bays with the cables as well, because again, we don't want that cable to hold the insulation down, so we're going to cut a little track out for that insulation. We're also going to cut out a 100 mil square hole for the light, and I'm going to show you how to seal that up as well. So that's it basically. I'm going to insulate this full ceiling now. I'll show you how to do the electrical parts of it, get it all properly insulated, have a look round it, get it formed, get some nails up. Remember that you've took your glue off with your handsaw as well. Any glue that's dripping down, that needs to come off as well. We're going to carry on with the rock wool up in that void there as well, so the building wool can be completely insulated, and I'll be happy with that then, and we can move on from there then. So what I'll do now, I'm going to fit all the bays first that haven't got cables in, so I can get them blasted off. I'll put you on time lapse, and then we'll drop back and we'll start doing one of these rows where they've got cables in, and I'll show you how we're going to notch them out. Right, take two. I forgot to put the mic on the first one. I'll fast forward that one and might possibly narrate over it. So I'm going to do this one again. Right, we need a light well cutting out of there. So this is the way we're going to do that. I've cut this insulation to length already. Yeah, that will fit up into that base. So I'm going to set the insulation the way it should go. So that will be the top of the board. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to measure back off that noggin and put a mark to where the centre of that hole is, which is there. Yep, it's going up that way. I'm going to measure off that timber there, that rafter there, and it's 100 mil. So we're going that way. So that there is 100 mil that way. Let me just double check that measurement there, make sure I'm right. 240 that way. Right, so that there is the centre of your light, yeah? So what we need to do now is cut 100 mil out around that light, and luckily enough it's fallen on that line, but if it hasn't, I put 100 there, look. Scribe that there, mark 100, scribe that there, again 100, which is there, and scribe that there. So that is the section that I want to cut out now. I don't know if you can see that clearly. Can you see that, Davey? That's the section I want to cut out. I'm also going to put a little arrow there. That indicates when I put it up, I know which way the section wants to go, and I'll explain that in a second. So I'm going to cut that now. Pop that through there. That's my section for my light. I'm going to take that out and I'm going to save that because I'm going to need it. Right, I'm going to have a look up here now, and I can see the cable is running down that side, which of course is this side. So I'm just going to put my knife in there and score it all the way down, and again underneath the side like that, and then that will there just pick off, and that there will create a little groove for my cable to sit in, and it also runs back this way where it comes from the other light. So again, little groove for my cable. You might want to clean that off. A lot of crap comes off these, goes in your face, in your eyes particularly. Right, so we're happy with that. I'm going to get some nails ready. We're over there, aren't we? So you want to nail this up, it needs to be tight to the roof. That's important so that there's no air void. Right, we're good there. I've got a hammer on the go. We have actually just done this completely and then Davey realised that I've not put the mic on. So we are going again. Right, so that's my piece there. Gonna offer that up. Get it into position and push it up. Right, you can see there now. It's a nice fit. Can you see that's tight up to the ceiling, Davey? Yeah. Can you see the light track I've created? Yeah. So, sorry, the cable track I've created there. So we know that's up as much as we can get it up. And I put these nails in now, which will stop it ever falling back down if the timber in the roof moves, which it can do. So we know we're nice and secure now. That's up there like that. Right, where's my block, David? There's my block. There's my little piece that I want to put back in because I need to insulate that hole I've just created. So what I'm going to do, that's the top of it. It goes up like that because there's my little arrow pointing to there. So I know that fits in like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut about 40mm off it. Like that. And then I'm going to offer this up. The way it goes, that's the arrow. I'm going to push it up there like that. And that will fit in exactly right the way you want it. And what I'm going to do then, look, is just put a couple of nails in there which will stop that ever falling back down. Right, so my next problem here is this bit here. I need to insulate that bit. So I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to cut a piece off, a little bit thinner this time. Off the piece that came out, get myself a few more nails. Hammer, where's hammer, David? There's hammer. And what I'm going to do then is offer this piece up as well. Now, I've no idea which way that went. It went that way, but in fact, I've cut it pretty square, so it'll go both ways. So I'm going to push that up tight like that. Get my hammer. I know I'm not in danger of nailing through my cable, because my cable rather is tight to the ceiling. I'm in danger of missing it though. There we go. Get the knife. Cut the back off there like that, and then just snap it, and there you go. That's your fully insulated little box. Now, there's a few little gaps here and there. Not worried about them. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do now. If there's any foam left in this gun, like I say, we've already done this once. There's a bit left in it. Right, so if Davey looks up there, look, any little gaps? You see, Davey? I'm now going to fully foam that up. Which I have done. I'm also going to run the foam gun round any little gaps. Make sure that is completely sealed. Look, watch, that's going to fall on you, Davey. Make sure that's completely sealed there. And like I say, I'll go around and pick that off afterwards. So that's my light wool, my light well completely done. Now, what we didn't show you, because I didn't put the mic on, was putting this one in. So obviously I've got a cable running right the way down there. So for that to go up, imagine, if you will, if that is that piece of insulation, I've got a cable running right the way down it. So what I'll do is I'll pull my knife down like that and like that, and again just pick that section off there. That'll create a little well for the cable. Can you see that, David? Yeah, so the cable will sit in there. I'll push that up and I'll get it nailed, and that's it. The insulation then is tight up. You can see where I've gone round. Can you see that, David, where I've gone round and insulated it all? Yeah. So I've just got 2 more to do. When this insulation is sufficiently dry, I'll pick the bits off that are hanging down, just so they don't push on the plasterboards and keep the plasterboards from getting fixed properly. So that's it. What we're going to do now, I'm going to finish that ceiling. Just this little bit here to show you as well. Have we got any more rock wool out, Davey? Yeah, there is, yeah. So Davey's already cut some off. Now, so what we've got here, we've obviously got our 100mm insulation pushing over the wall, but we've got a little gap there now. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill that gap with rock wool, so that is completely insulated. We've got no risk of any cold coming through. And there, of course, then this ambient air temperature, which will be trapped in there, will then not condensate either. So it's important that you seal it properly for this hybrid to work. Now, we do the hybrid, it works for us. I'm not saying you should do it. Do it if you want to, don't do it if you don't want to. But under the 2.5 height limit, it is the best possible scenario. So that's that. We're going to drop on this wall now in a minute. There's a TV going there, so I'm going to show you how to do a pat rest. I'm going to show you how we're going to notch out for the brushed plates as well. And there's a heater going on this wall here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to access that so that we can put the cable and conceal the cable into the wall. Right, I'm going to show you how to do pat rests now. Basically, a pat rest is a piece of timber behind the plasterboard, piece of board, whatever, behind the plasterboard. So when you screw your wall mounted, whatever it is, you've got a fixing wherever you screw it to. So we're going to put a heater here in this corner now. I know the heater is 740 wide. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure 840 off the wall. And the reason for that being is, I don't want it tight to the wall over there. I want a nice little gap. So I'll just mark that now. So we've got a 100mm gap there. So that there is my heater, yeah? See that, David, yeah? That's where the heater's going to go. Now, I know that this heater is fed from the right-hand side by the cable, so the fuse spur is on the right-hand side. So again, I'm going to drop myself 100mm, and I'm going to put my fuse spur there. So that's where that fuse spur is going to go. Now, that's a Patras back box. Have we got any Patras back boxes in the van, David? Right, we'll have a look in a minute anyway, yeah? Right, so I need some OSB there to create a Patras, some there as well. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a piece there, but I'm going to cut out an L section like that, so when I put my Patras in, I can cut the plasterboard out and I'm not going to hit the OSB. So what we're going to do, we're going to measure this now. I know somebody said they had a what I'm going to do drinking game, and every time I said it, they had to have a drink. And I think they were quite drunk, apparently. Right, 252. Right. What I'm going to do then, I'm going to stop saying that. I'm going to mark 252 there. Now we'll see now how accurate or not accurate you have to be. I'm going to put there, again, circular saw does the bulk of all the work on this job now. So that's my 252 piece. Just get my hammer and screws and we should be aware. Right, I know the height of the heater as well. So what I'm going to do is, I know that that will not be higher than the heater bracket. But what I'm going to do, just to fail safe that, I'm going to lift it up a little bit, just so I know I'm good. And this is where it doesn't go in. I'm going to show you. If it doesn't go in, I'll bring it in. Right, what you want is that OSB to be flush with them timbers, and the reason why that is, I've said this a few times, if it's sat back, what will happen then, when you come to put your bracket on, you'll screw your plasterboard will pull back to the OSB if there's a recess, and then your plasterboard screws will pop through the plasterboard, which is obviously not what you want. So I'm going to grab these, the 60mm screws, probably could do with a little bit longer, but that's what we've got to hand. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drive them through that timber into the OSB, and that will hold that in place. Again, I'll make sure it's flush. What I'm going to do is just put a little top one in there. Doesn't matter that it's split, it's just to hold it in place. So that's my first one. I'm going to put another one in there now, and then I'm going to put that one in. I'm going to show you the cutout for the socket as well. Right, okay, David, keep it going, yeah? Right, so this one here now, I know that, let's get a pen so you can see it, where my fuse spur is going to go. That will be the edge of my heater there. That there will be the top of the fuse spur. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just cut that out to there like that. And then that will allow me room for when I put my back box on for it to sit in. So I'll put that into position where I want it. Again, keeping it flush. Make sure that it's not going to go proud or sit back, and then when it's plasterboarded it'll be nice. So there is my patras. I'll just get that one flush as well. It's flush there, it's sticking out a bit there. What I'm going to do with that now is see if I can get a screw in the bottom, although I've got a long bit holder in there. I don't think I will. Right, we'll resolve that issue now. Tuck that behind there, and when that pushes back there, it'll be sufficient. There we go. Scrape that off there because that I don't want that holding the plasterboard back. Right, so I'm waffling on yet again. Right, so look at that there now. So that's my heater there, that's the edge of my heater. I know my bracket sits in a little bit, so my bracket will sit there, it will hold the heater. That's where my fuse spur is going. So that's loads of room there. What we'll be able to do now is get that cable in there, thread it behind him, we're going to pull it out the back, but I'll probably show you that at a later date. Now, if it had fallen there, and what we needed to do was put our fuse spur there, what we'd have done then, we'd have just gone like that, and then I'd have just took them out like that, and then what would have happened then, we'd have put our heater on the wall, we'd have put a little hole in the wall there and pushed the cable through there into the back of the fuse spur. So that's how you can get away with a nice neat finish rather than the cable looping down and going in. So that there is your patras for your heater. Quite easy to do really. What's going to happen now on this wall, I think I've explained earlier on, there's a TV, so we're going to get the customer out, see where the TV is going. It'll have a double socket. It'll also have, he's having an aerial on this as well, so there'll be an aerial port there as well. And we're going to put brush plate face plates in as well, so we'll be taking part of this noggin out to allow access from the back of the TV to the back of the TV unit down there. Right, we've put his patras in for his heater. We've also got one up here for consumer unit, fuse board, whatever terminology you want to use for it, so that's where the consumer unit will go. We've also put some patras in for the TV. Now, we know the size of the TV, we know the location of the TV. This is where it's going, that's where the bracket will fit. There isn't much room behind the back of it, so what we're going to do is put a brush plate there, and the power lead's then going to go down there. It'll come out of another brush lead there, and there'll be a double socket there. Also, the customer's aerial, which he requires, is going to come through the back, through the brush plate and into the TV. So that's the patras there for the TV. That's all set up and ready to go. If the TV was high level, let's say it was up here, and we wanted to get the brush plate down to there, we'd have notched them out there, punched a hole in that, and then we would have had access all the way down to the bottom. So what we're on with now is the vapour barrier. Now, the report on the hybrid roof, the word I was looking for earlier on was air tightness. The report on the hybrid roof says it is pretty much redundant, but we are still going to use it because we believe that it helps the situation. So what I'm going to do, this particular roll is 4 metres by 25. So I'm going to roll it out, make sure I've got enough. A little bit extra there. And cut it off. So my room's 3 metres, so I've no problem with this roll stretching out over there. What did we use last time? We used the stapler. So we're going to use that to staple it up. It's a little bit fiddly just to get it going, but once you've got a few in, you're pretty much on the way. Again, stapler, we're going to put that down as an essential bit of kit if you're going to build one of these. I'm going to get it out to a little bit of the way I want it. Okay, Davey. You might want to just keep filming, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can get it somewhat parallel along the roof there. Like I say, if it don't sit right, I'll just put another additional piece up. You can go to crazy extents with this. Some people don't bother with it. Some people do. Like I said, the report says it's pretty much redundant. Right, so I've got row staples in there now. What I'm going to do is just work my way along the roof, getting it relatively tight. I'm not overly bothered if it's not massively tight. It won't be the end of the world, that's for sure. What will happen then is when the plasterboard goes up, it will then hold that tight to the ceiling and prevent some moisture from ever entering the ceiling area. I say some because that's the best word to describe it, I guess. We are going to obviously cut out for the lights, which obviously then you will think, well, it defeats the object. Well, it does and it don't. You know, it resolves. Let's you know, even if it stops like 50%, you know, 50% is better than 0%, isn't it? So let's get that all stapled up there now. It's quite easy to do if you've got a staple gun. So there we go, that's almost up now. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to cut these bits off on the wall there, because when we come to do the walls, which we will do in a second, they will overlap them and provide somewhat more of a seal. Right, so that's your vapour barrier on your ceiling. That's as good as it needs to be. You can see where the light wells are. There are various ones on the market, different grades. This is more than fine, never ever an issue. There's a green one. The problem with the green one is it's thicker, but you can't see through it then. You can't see your roofing joists. Right, so that's the ceiling done. What I will do now is I'll cut some for the walls, stick you back on time lapse because it's straightforward, isn't it? You've done one, you've done a load. Stick you back on time lapse, get these walls all done, and hopefully John and Jen will be here with plasterboards then and we can start the ceiling. Right, we've got the vapour barrier on now. What we're going to do now is we're going to plasterboard the ceiling. So again, I'm going to try and do this on my own. Everybody's here now. You want to all say hello? Hello. Hi. So what they're doing, they're just pulling the cable from the house to the unit for us. But I'm still going to do all the cabling myself. They're just bringing it here and obviously digging it and burying it and stuff like that. But once they get it excavated, then I'll show you the route we're going to do as well, just for knowledge basically. And Adam will talk to you about depth of steel wide armoured, won't you, Adam? Yeah. That'll open a few cans of worms. Anyway, so I built these props just at a bit of slate like there, fractionally smaller than the ceiling. So I'm going to put that one there. I'm going to rest that plasterboard on there, and I've got one behind Davey as well. But I've managed to cut that one a little bit too short. Oh no, I haven't. That's the long one. Sorry, my mistake. So I'm going to put the long one there. I've managed to cut this one too short. There you go, look, it's too short. But what I'll do is I'll just prop it on that there when I come to put it up. Okay, so I've already measured. Right, so my board is 81 3/4. I'm going to cut it in the way that I want it to fall up on the roof. So this end here will go to that side there. Again, have we got the level out, Davey? No. Right, we'll get the level in a minute and use that as a straight edge, but that's as good there. I've shown you a few times previously how to cut a plasterboard. If Davey comes over here, I'll show you how to do it again. So there's my mark, that's what I want to cut. I'm just going to get the blade, Stanley knife blade. I'm just putting in a couple of mil and I'm just going to run it down the board like that. It's probably even 1.5 mil that it's in. So there we go. And what I'll do now, look, I'll just bend it, it'll break. I'll go behind it and just score down the back side of it there. And that's your board cut to length basically. So the next task now is to actually get this up where it needs to go on my own. Right, so you can see there, look. You can see where the timbers are, so I don't actually need to mark the ceiling because I know that in between the joist hangers, so that's going to be fine. So when I put that board up, I won't see them anymore, but I'll know where they are, and obviously I'll know where the ends are here. So I'm going to try and get this up on my own. David, you might want to stand in the corner, mate. Yeah, possibly. So we'll see how this goes. I did one not so long ago. Oh, get that there. Probably should have took my glasses off my head because they're catching. And get that one there like that. Pop that prop under there. Which, to be fair, I mean, I thought I did cut it short. It's not actually too bad. We'll just watch it doesn't fall. There we go. Get that one up there like that. Right, so that's looking good at the moment. I'm going to put that there. That's up there. What I'm going to do with that, yeah, I mean, it's near enough that, isn't it, Davey? Yeah. We'll go with that there. Right, so it's in a good position. I'm happy with that. We're going to fix it with plasterboard screws, which are them there. We've got variations of plasterboard screws in the tub. These little black ones leave little black splinters in your fingers and they're awful. Right, so with that in mind there, I'm going to get, generally you can hold it up with 4 screws. But what I'll do is, because I am on my own, I'll get 6 in there. Again, I can see where that is. I'm just going to watch that prop, don't want to fall out now. There we go, that's held it. So I can go along there now, get some more screws in there. And that there will hold itself, no problem at all now. Like I say, you can generally hold them with 4 screws, but 6 is even better. So there you go, that's the first board up. I'm going to continue to screw that now. So what you need to do now is, let me get a spirit level, David, just stop it. Right, so what you can do, don't forget I'm giving away all this ox stuff. I'm just going to put that level there. 2 ways of doing this. So I'm going to put the level there, that's where the timber is. Just going to draw a line like that. So you could do that all the way along and you know exactly where to screw, or if you've got a bit more, if you've done it a few times then you'll know that you can just eye it through. If Davey has a look there, actually missed there, Davey. There, can you see how that's just sunk past the paper? That's the depth you want these screws to go at. On the walls I'll be looking at every 300, but on the ceiling I'm looking at about every 200 to get a fixing on them. Like I say, so there's the finger not working properly. See what screws on 4. Right, so I can see that. I'm going to gauge it. Don't need to draw my line because a little bit of experience, and I know that'll be near enough. Like if it goes in and it doesn't catch, wind it back out and off you go again. It doesn't matter if there's a few extra holes in the ceiling. But like I say, you want to be going every 200 or so. Right, so that's your first plasterboard up. Now what we need to do now is to get this cut in here. So what we'll do there, we'll cut another piece of plasterboard. What I'm looking for is machine end, which is there, machine end to machine end, and put my cuts to the wall all the time. So I'll cut this little bit, I'll get that up, I'll drop you back on time lapse, and then I'm going to board the full ceiling on time lapse. We might drop off when we've got this little bit here, and I'll drop back to normal there, and you can have a watch of that going in. And I'm going to show you how we're going to cut the lights out as well in the ceiling. Before I go any further now, I'm going to cut these lights out and make sure that we're in the right position, because I don't want to board the ceiling and realise I've made a mistake and then have to come back. So I'm looking at my plan there, and I know I'm 700 off the front wall. 700 like that. I'm going to then get my chalk line. Get that tucked up there like that. And then gonna give that a twang. So that's a nice clear line. So that's 700 parallel off the front of the building. And like I said, we did write down those measurements there, so we know exactly where we're going, which should be right. You can almost really tell anyway by the blue line, and you can see where the roof joists are there, so you know it's in the bay anyway, so we're good on that one. we're good on that one. And then we're going to go 1.5 there, which is the centre of our building, which is there. So they should be our 3 spotlights, so we'll cut them out. Same as the front. Should be nice and easy. Just go through nice and steady and you're not going to catch your cable then. You can feel just when you've gone through. You see, I haven't actually punctured the plastic there. Although we did push our cable tight up into the ceiling as well, which of course is what we want. There we go. So there's that one there, look. There's that one there. Of course you have punctured your vapour barrier as well, but like I said before, if you stop in the majority, then it's as good as you can get, isn't it, really? There we go. 3 cables, we're happy with them, they're fine. What I'll do now, I'll continue to board the ceiling. We'll do, as soon as we cover this part, let me see if that's going to fall. Right, so that'll fall there anyway, so we'll board the full ceiling and then cut the lights out on that one, but that's fine, doesn't matter, it's falling on the joints. When it's taped and jointed, it'll be absolutely fine anyway. So put it back on time lapse, I'll finish the ceiling, that off cut there now. I'm going to work out how far we can go, I'm going to cut it and then start again. You don't want the joint of your board too close, I mean that for me is too close, I'm looking at 2 spacings apart at least. Right. I'm going to cut this on the board now. Lengthways is pretty much the same as cutting it widthways. I'm just going to run my knife down there. That part there will be going to the wall, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Which it's not, you can see me going all over the place there. Just going to get that to the end. I've already swept the floor, and the reason why I've done that is so that I can lay this board down on the floor without damaging it. Let's cut and get my wastage over there, which we will use on another wall. Again, vertical cut. Cut that. And that's going to go up there now. So what's going to happen now, I'll put this up and I won't be able to see my roof joists anymore. So I'm going to mark them on the wall so that when the board goes up and conceals them, I know exactly where I need to be screwing. I'll get my props somewhere near. Get my cordless impactor, and there's my bit ready to go. It's not too heavy now because it's half a board at least. Get that into place. Reach a prop. You'll notice on this one, I started at the front. The reason being the ceiling's pitched, and I wanted to make sure I can reuse these props as I went down. So that's got that there, look, quite easy to do. What I'm going to do now is get a few screws in there, and then me and Dave are going to jump out and have a look at this cable, and we'll talk about your steel wide armoured cable depth, because I know a lot of people ask the question as to how deep it should be, how we run our Cat 6 and the likes of that. So I'll get a few screws in here and then we'll drop back out and have a look and see what they've done. I'll have a chat with Adam if he's knocking around, who is our in-house electrician, and he will clarify depth of cable for you. Right, I'm going to answer a few questions now which get asked a lot about depth of steel wide armoured. There isn't actually a specific depth. Now I know a lot of people say there is, but Adam has recently done his 18th edition. I'll explain it to you in a minute. So this is the depth of the trench they've dug. What do you say it is, Jen?
300.
Right, so they're saying it's about 300. So you can see the steel wired armoured there, and there's Corpex. In the Corpex there is Cat 6 and there is aerial cable as well.
300.
Yeah, so it's approximately 300. Right, and then they've come up here. This is going under the patio. They're going to rebed the flags back on, and then they're going to change it. Adam's going to change it to twin and earth inside, and then he's going to go to the consumer unit. So with that in mind, depth. Adam sat his 18th edition recently, and he got asked the question. Let's put my glasses on. He got asked the question, where cables are placed directly in the ground, they should be buried at a depth. So the first answer is sufficient to allow easy access, not less than 3/4 of a metre, 75 750mm, sufficient to avoid damage, or not less than 1.5 metres. And you got the answer wrong, didn't you, Adam? He put not less than 0.75 of a metre. The actual answer is sufficient to avoid damage. This is sufficient to avoid damage.
It's a spade's depth, isn't it? Pretty much.
It's what?
I'd have said a spade's depth, just so you, if somebody's just random there with a spade, they're not going to hit it, are they?
Yeah, the way you've got to look at it, it's going through a lawn, and that's a paved area. The customer is going to get it repaved, but that will be more than deep enough for the guys who are going to pave it to put the stone down and put the flags down. So that is sufficient depth, and it's steel wide armoured, and you're not going to go through that with a graft, a shovel, and it's RCD protected. So we're all good. So that's your answer to the correct depth. Okay. Happy? John's not happy. John's happy. Day 9, we've got the ceiling insulated, we've got the vapour barrier on, we've cut out for the lights, we've also plasterboarded as well, we've got the ceiling plasterboarded. You can see we've drilled out for the lights there already, so we'll pop them back up when the plasterer comes, get them out of his way. What we're going to do then, I'm not in tomorrow, so day 9, we'll have a break tomorrow, I've got somewhere to go, and be back for day 10 on Friday, where we'll get this plasterboarded completely. We'll get the back boxes cut out for the sockets, and then we'll run the cables for them as well. So tools we've used today, obviously use the spirit level. We're giving away all the ox stuff, as I've always said. As soon as this job is finished, I will give that away to somebody on Instagram. We've used the circular saw to cut the pattresses. I've showed you how to put the pattresses in. Impact driver to screw the boards up. We've used the drill to cut the lights out. I forgot to say them yesterday. We used the nips for cutting the cable. We've got a staple gun there as well for putting the vapour barrier up, and of course the chalk line, which was essential for getting the lights in a nice straight row. So that's day 9. It's well on the way now. These guys have turned up and put this cable in for me. That was always going to happen. There's going to be bits and pieces that I won't be doing. But that's it. So that's day 9. So I hope you've enjoyed watching it, and I hope it's give you the let me think what I'm trying to say now. And I hope, what's the word I'm looking for there, everywhere somebody's thinks they can do it now.
How deep are we going? About 70 mil?
I don't know. Right, so that's it finished now. I hope it's given you the confidence, that's the word I'm looking for, the confidence to maybe have a go at this yourself. Don't forget, big build packs are available on my website. There's a link in the description on YouTube as well. And that's it, so day 9. Please like, subscribe, and if you're not following already, give us a follow, and that'll be fantastic. I'll see you on day 10, which will be Friday. Thank you.